Okay, let's have a conversation about weed. One of you guys suggested this video topic, and he specifically referred to the way in which weed is currently used by teenagers. And he also referred to the strength of the buds, the strength of the marijuana. And it's true, modern weed is very strong. I don't know if it's being purposefully done by the government, the powers at be, to perhaps sedate the young folks. I get a feeling that there's some truth to that because it definitely seems that the way weed is used, at least in the teenager community, you guys are a community now, right? It definitely seems to be somewhat of a sedating substance. I definitely know when I was a teenager, I used it to sedate myself. And so I was your typical let's get baked and let's go and get munchies. McDonald's, chocolate, cookies, all kinds of. It's essentially it's like a double whammy. So you're sedating yourself with the marijuana first, and then you're sedating yourself with the foods and with all the things that go with it, like just sit down, watch a movie, or watch TV shows or something, and stay up all night, play Call of Duty or FIFA or something, right? Now, first of all, everything is an experience. So there is absolutely nothing wrong from a moral perspective about everything I just talked about, because that's just consciousness experiencing getting really baked and eating junk food and playing video games. So morally speaking, there isn't anything wrong with that. It's an experience, but it's also an experience that eventually has to be transcended. Really, it has to be transcended, because if you're sedating yourself like that, you're definitely, and if you continue to do it over and over, and you don't wake up one day from the sedation and realize, holy shit, like I'm not even at 0.1% of my full potential as consciousness, as the creator, then that's when it becomes problematic, right? The experience itself is not a problem, it's an experience. Hopefully, an experience that teaches you to transcend it. So, I definitely think there's some truth to it being purposefully made stronger, the marijuana, so that it sedates the younger, it sedates the population, it sedates the populace, right? Because the weed that was smoked in the 60s and the 70s was much more temperate, much more moderate. And this is the key about using marijuana. Marijuana is a happy-go-lucky plant. I see it as an ally, just like I see mushrooms as allies, psychedelics as allies. Actually see marijuana as an ally in the elevation of consciousness. I actually look at this plant and I have reverence for the plant, and I've used it many times before, and I have reverence for it, and I think it's a great ally. The key word and the key thing about using marijuana is really comes down to dosage. So how much are you smoking? What's the dosage like? And frequency. How frequently are you using marijuana? So personally, the way I find marijuana can be very helpful to elevate consciousness is if it's taken in small to moderate quantities. And I used to do this a lot up until maybe 2 years ago. I would get a joint, right? Very strong weed. I get it from the dispensary, and I would just take a toke, okay? I just take a toke, maybe two, okay? Toke or two, not heavy tokes, not to the point where I'm, right? The minute you've gone, trust me, you've gone past the medicinal limit, let's say, a medicinal dosage, sorry. Okay, so I take a toke, couple tokes, no coughing, nothing like that, and it would get me so nice, in such a nice state. I go take a walk in nature, and I'd start to hug the trees, and then I'd sit down and just meditate blissfully for like an hour, couple of hours sometimes, right? In total serenity, just in total oneness with nature. And this is why I see the plant actually as a medicine, as an ally for us humans to elevate our consciousness, just like mushrooms are. Okay. So I really think it comes down to dosage, which I think a small dosage will get you, like a micro dose, let's call it, right? It can really be used in that way to help you in your spiritual journey. But even then, at some point, the marijuana itself, if you're taking it in those dosages will eventually wean you off of the marijuana, just like the psychedelic will do the same. Okay. Now, what happens when you go beyond and you go there and you just want to get baked, like you smoke off a bong and roll these fat blunts and you really want to get baked? It's like, man, you're done for. Your consciousness actually gets hijacked in many ways. You get so baked and so high, and first of all, your lungs, unless you're vaping it, but your lungs is like, if you're hurting your lungs, like, that's your breath, that's your organs for taking in oxygen, right? So that's another thing. So you're essentially sedating yourself. And I think many teenagers, and I'm very understanding of why that happens, they use it to forget their problems, to sedate themselves. This is why most teenagers will smoke weed and then will eat junk food and will, play video games and just kind of, instead of being these badass, changers of the world, because teenagers, you got a lot of energy as a teenager, then you're sedating yourself. And I understand why, because teenagers feel frustrated and angry because they're brought up in schools, they're brainwashed in schools. I was an angry teenager. I used weed in my teenage years to suppress that frustration, suppress the anger, and escape my problems. Really. You have no idea what you're gonna do after you finish high school. You have no guidance. Your parents are either at work or they're dealing with their own problems, right? You grow up in a materialistic society. You never really, as a teenager, go and spend time in nature. I understand. I was an angry teenager. So most teenagers end up using weed, marijuana, in a way that sedates them, in a way that escapism, essentially. Escapism, that's what it is. It's escapism. It's a form of escapism. And rarely, actually, most weed users, I don't think, are using weed in the way in which I believe Mother Nature intended us for weed to use, which is, first of all, in moderation, and not very frequently, and second of all, in small dosages. And I really do think that the powers that be are doing something to the marijuana nowadays and making it super potent and super strong, precisely because they want to sedate the populace. They want to sedate the population, right? Like I said, the weed back in the 60s and 70s, was completely different. The strength of it was nowhere near the weed now. Ask any hippie that grew up in the 60s. They'll tell you that. And so, back in those days, you would take a couple of tokes, 2-3 tokes, and you wouldn't get baked. You would get to that stage where, like, suddenly colors are brighter, everything is nicer, and you're actually alert, and you feel more spiritually connected. So if you're going to smoke weed, my own personal recommendation is you do it in that manner. Is either get a very small, like a little in a little, maybe a brownie or something, but like very small quantity, or take a few tokes. Even better, vaporize it. Okay, use a vape, and just take a few tokes. Use a vape, take a few tokes, 1 or 2, and don't use it often. Don't allow the tolerance to build up. Use it and ask yourself, when you use it and when you feel elevated and you feel spiritually connected, use it. I think we should bring back respect to marijuana, because we just smoke it wherever, however, whenever. I think we should use marijuana the same way we use psychedelics. I think we should give it the same reverence, the same respect as we do psychedelics, because for the most part, people do respect psychedelics. They do, you know, for the most part, people do take psychedelics more seriously than marijuana. They do more preparation, they do go to nature and stuff like that. But marijuana doesn't have that respect. Unfortunately, it doesn't have that respect. The plant should be more respected. Set and setting should be taken into account when ingesting marijuana. And so if the respect is brought back to the marijuana, first of all, you won't do it as often. You wouldn't use it as a crutch to escape, because you respect the plant. You understand, all right, I'm going out to nature, or I'm gonna set up the scene in my room and be serene and be calm, and I'm gonna take it in a moderate dose, and I'm going to learn from the plant. Okay, how many people actually take it to learn? Some people do. Some people benefit greatly from marijuana, and it has medicinal benefits, right? I don't think most people do. I think most people use it to escape their problems, to escape their frustration, to escape their anger, to sedate themselves. Certainly, most teenagers use it in that way. But it's a shame, because if we actually respect the plant, oh wow, it could have a profound effect on our state of consciousness. It really can. And if we use it in that respect and we start to communicate with it in that way, it will even tell you when to stop. You know, the psychedelics told me, all right, it's time to stop the microdosing now. Time to meditate. Time to just do it the organic, natural way. We taught you a lot, and whenever we'll call you again whenever we feel like we want to teach you something. Okay, I microdosed for 2 years. I microdosed LSD and mushrooms, and I was called for it, and I learned a great deal of things. But then by the end of the 2 years, they told me, all right, you're on your own now, kid. You can walk, right? So it's the same thing, you know. If you feel the urge, you feel like the marijuana can teach you something, go with that urge, follow that urge. These are allies. There are allies, and if you ally yourself with them, and you speak with these plants on a regular basis, you communicate, you respect them. It's very important to respect them. If you don't respect marijuana ain't gonna communicate anything to you. It's just gonna sedate you. But if you actually respect marijuana, first of all, the marijuana itself will tell you, hey, look, I'm too strong for you right now. This is too much of a dose. It will tell you. It will speak to you, and it will start to tell you, look, because you respect their marijuana itself, you probably won't do it every day, and you won't rely on it. You will look at it with reverence, and every time you smoke it or vape it or eat it, you ingest it, you're gonna do it from the intention of, I'm gonna learn something. And that's when you begin the communication with the plant, when you look at the plant as a teacher, as a friend, as an ally. And if, like I said, if you feel the urge right now, it means the plant can teach you something that may take you a lot longer to learn on your own than with this ally. And then you ally yourself with the plant, and at some point or other, the plant itself will tell you, okay, now you can walk. Now you don't need me anymore. You know, maybe we can hang out once a month, once every couple of months. We'll just keep talking, I'll let you know. Okay, but to depend on it, to use it as a drug, really, to sedate yourself, is really problematic, and unfortunately is widespread amongst teenagers, unfortunately, and amongst adults too. But with teenagers, they're much more susceptible to that effect. So yeah, especially with how strong the potency of the marijuana has become in modern times, I really think keep the dosages small. Try it next time. Try it. If you're gonna smoke, if you're a regular smoker, if you're a regular marijuana user, next time try to just vape or toke. Take 1 or 2 tokes and just put it down. Watch how more pleasant the experience is gonna be for you. It's gonna be much more pleasant. The other thing is, if you do it every day, start to do it every 2 days, every 3 days. It will also be much more pleasant, because you allow some time for you to miss the marijuana also, right? Allow some time for the contrast. Allow some time for that. So yeah, So yeah, marijuana is a powerful tool, powerful tool to help us on our spiritual journey. But again, let's bring back the respect to the marijuana. Let's just bring back the respect. Let's treat it the same way we treat psychedelics. Respect, set, and setting, very important. And then we could learn something from them. Okay, that's my opinion. Just my opinion. At the end of the day, you do what you want to do with your consciousness. You got free will, and that's the law, right? That's the law. At the end of the day, you go do whatever you want. It's your incarnation, it's your character, it's your game piece, it's your life, it's your experience, it's your dream. So do with it as you wish, my friends. And yeah, sending all my sincere gratitude and love to our lovely Patreons for your continued support. I love you guys. And Instagram, Saeed Mobayed, don't forget. Until next time, may the force be with you.